Hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. You know, as we've traveled around the state over the years, we're often asked our opinion about where the best place is to go for hybrids or stripers or crappie or largemouth bass and so on. But I don't think that I've ever actually been asked where's a great place to catch trophy sunfish. Well, although there are a lot of great sunfish lakes around Oklahoma, certainly one of them on my short list would have to be right here at New Spiro Lake in eastern Oklahoma.
Here's a Spiro Lake bluegill. That's a male just now starting to color up. Personally, I think this has the potential for a blue ribbon bluegill Red Ear Lake. And that will bring lots of folks from all around to fish for bluegills and red ears of that quality. That could be a real boon for the city of Spiro. You see how thick across the back these things are? Can you see that from here?
This can be one of the most remarkable spots I've ever fished. There are other good lakes. I think the red ear population here is what keeps us coming back. We do catch a lot of really nice red ears in a season's time. Bluegills are big here. There again, you don't know what you're going to catch, and that's the reason I keep coming back. This is a red-eared brim, and if you can see, he's all the way from the tip end of my fingers up to a watch band there. These are the kind of fish that we enjoy catching. This lake is really built for this fish. We catch them on a fly rod. Use a tiny jig. Mine is a 1/100th ounce, tied with orange bunny fur and an olive bunny fur on the bottom. So we're gonna try to catch about 50 or 60 more of these before I quit. We kind of just start chasing them around the 1st of March, and even when the water's cold, we'll wear pant waders and try to find them going to the beds. On this lake, you look for indentations in the bank, coves, grass lines with water behind them, and when the fish go to the beds, it's awesome. They're in there, and as soon as they're in there, a few days of it, and they're gone. And I don't know where they go on this lake after that, but we don't pursue them too much after the spawn because the restrictions on the fly rod, the depth and such as that. I would guess that people with little ultralights and fish the same way we do, only fish deeper, could probably locate and catch a lot of them. This is a red ear male, one of the better fish that we catch out of this lake. He's got his spawning colors almost black. Sometimes they turn almost chrome. Yeah, almost chrome. These are good fish to catch. They're eager to bite. Again, I'm not sure whether they're biting it to eat it or just to get it out of the nest. A lot of fun to catch. You could do it all day long. My best day down here was 264 of these things, and it was a great day. I'm going to turn him loose now.
Basically, we start looking when the water temp hits over 50 degrees. And 60 and above is when they're more likely to be in the nesting mode, although we have caught them in water 55 degrees. But the vegetation, the bugs, they have a black caddis that hatches here, and that's usually a sign that they're getting ready. And they're real good sized black caddis, and We use that as, when our caddis are out, it's close.
Okay.
That and buffalo gnats.
Got some spunk. That's pretty fish there. I do think that this is one of the premier spots in this part of the state. I hear that there are other places around and maybe we haven't fished them yet, but I'm going to retire in about 10 months and I'm going to hit those.
For just every day having fun, this is about the most fun you can have, fairly close to home. I enjoy the rhythm of the fly rod and the tug and the pull. It's just what I do.
You need to get out and fish it, enjoy it, you know, take the time to really enjoy what you have. Try to treat people right on the lake. Don't swamp them. Little fat guys like me running around in a baby boat here. But that's one of the things that I might say here is that the folks on Spiro have always been really good. Get out and enjoy it, and you know, if you bring something in, take it home with you. No trash, no, you know, just don't litter and try to protect what you have.
No matter who you are or where you live, well, it's a fact that water plays an important part of your daily life. And it's also a fact that there's only so much of it to go around. And in the case of a city like Spiro, Oklahoma, that has a sole source for its water, well, that source becomes pretty important. So today we're going to look at a perfect example of how several different key players that all have a vested interest in conserving and protecting New Spiro Lake have all come together for the sake of all its users.
The biggest problems at Spiro Lake are similar to many places in Oklahoma and many places across the country. There's too much nutrients coming into the lake and there's too much sediment coming into the lake. Those have various consequences.
Steve Patterson is a restoration ecologist who specializes in environmental and water quality enhancement projects. He's assisting the city of Spiro in developing a plan to enhance the water quality of not only New Spiro Lake, but its watershed too.
Well, Jack Grant, who's the water superintendent for the city of Spiro, is really he's been the engine behind all this, and he's the one who got in touch with me originally, and he knew that he wanted that there was a need to do some things to improve the lake, and but really wasn't quite sure exactly how to start making that happen.
I'm Jack Grant. I'm water superintendent for the town of Spiro. We pump water from the new Spiro City Lake to our plant. We're pumping at 700 gallons a minute, and we produce about anywhere from 200 to 300,000 gallons a day. What's giving a lot of the water plants problems is organics in the water. Well, your organics comes from your raw water source, and we actually have a high organics in our lake.
The nutrients are fertilizers. They basically, it's just like when you fertilize your lawn, by adding nutrients to the lake, you're growing more algae. And when you grow that algae, there's a whole bunch of things that happen, but some of them are not good for the water treatment, and some of them are not good for the lake ecology.
What our concern is trying to work out in our watershed and trying to better the quality of water that we have to produce.
And ultimately, we figured out that probably the place to start would be some better data, that the need to do some monitoring and collect the data. There was a little bit of data on the lake, but there really wasn't any data on the watershed and on the creek coming into the lake.
A multi-year monitoring program was established to gather important information on the watershed and the lake in order to develop a baseline of data.
And ultimately, that's when the Choctaw Nation stepped forward and said, yeah, we'll pay for 1 year, the first year of this monitoring program, and that will help you get started. And then the fact that they did that then led to the Conservation Commission stepping up and saying, yeah, we'll pay for a second year of monitoring. Yeah, so we're here at New Spiro Lake today to do some water quality sampling. This is a regular monthly sampling program. We do it once a month at the lake, one spot, but we have a number of different parameters. So this is sort of our regular routine monitoring that we're building for a long-term record. We do a couple of main things. We take actual water samples for analysis in the lab. So we'll get nutrients and sediments and things like that from those water samples. And then we also have an instrument that we use that we drop down into the lake, and we get what we call a profile. So every half a meter as we go from the surface to the bottom, we're getting temperature and pH and the amount of dissolved oxygen that's in the water and things like that. So those are the two main things that we do to build up a long-term record of just what's going on at the lake.
Well, I think this is a great example of how groups can come together. I mean, the state of Oklahoma, the cities, all the different agencies come together to look at how we can better and protect our water. And just not water, but all of our natural resources for Oklahoma. So I think it's critical that we drop down sometimes those boundaries that we keep up. And it doesn't matter whether you're the tribe, whether you're the state, we're all about being Oklahomans and making sure that we protect water for everybody. And I think that's the reason why it's critical that we all come together.
The fact that we're doing the monitoring, that the Choctaws are funding the monitoring, that's led to a lot more of attention. We've gotten attention in the community, and we've also got attention from various state agencies like the Department of Wildlife.
Some of the land use practices in the watershed at New Spiro are beginning to threaten the water quality there, and it's bad news if you're trying to treat the water to provide to your customers. It can also spell bad news for the fisheries if excessive nutrients and sediments are coming in and causing harmful algal blooms, which depletes the dissolved oxygen content, and can be really harmful for any aquatic life in the lake.
Collecting data from streams in a watershed can be a time-consuming and labor-intensive part of a project like New Spiro Lake. But the Oklahoma Conservation Commission's Water Quality Division has a program that's really a win-win for everyone. It's called the Blue Thumb program, and it uses local volunteers to help collect the data and in turn educate them about the importance of stream ecology and protecting watersheds.
We also have some volunteer groups. The Blue Thumb group has utilized some of the students there in Spiro to come out and do some of our initial sampling in our streams, Holly Tuska Creek that feeds the reservoir.
Well, the Blue Thumb organization has actually been in existence for 23 years, and we basically support citizens who care about streams and rivers and who want to be involved in monitoring to find out how those streams and rivers are doing, and also in education so that they can help us educate the rest of the state of Oklahoma about how to best protect streams and rivers so we have clean water for our human uses, but also for our fish and for our wildlife. So I want you guys to do a dance and disturb all that substrate. Let's see if anybody floats into our net. Can you do that? Move around. And the rest of you, anybody remember the song that we sing when we do this? And they are going to be monitoring this stream, which means they'll come out on a monthly basis and they will do testing on the water, certain parameters. And we'll also come out and work with them so that we do a macroinvertebrate collection, which that's the little bugs and the worms and the snails and things like that live in the stream. We'll collect benthic macroinvertebrates with them because these kinds of creatures tell you a lot about how clean your water is, because certain ones are going to be tolerant to pollutants, certain ones are going to be very sensitive and you won't find them in waters that are polluted. And that helps the kids gain an understanding of the importance of finding life in the streams. When we can learn how streams are doing, meaning that we have data that has been collected over years, it can be used to make judgments about the streams and about how good they are or if they need to help improving. And it can be used to help guide where we put best management practices or where we put special education projects. We had a lot of interest from the city of Spiro to do a little bit down here in their area so that we could make the citizens more aware of how to keep local streams clean so that the streams that flow into their new Spiro Lake will be in good condition to help them provide good, safe drinking water for their citizens.
I don't think hardly anyone in the town of Spiro is aware of these creeks and, you know, the water going into our water supply and how much work that Jack has to do to clean it up to get us, you know, to have safe drinking water. So it would be nice to take care of it and make Jack's job a little bit easier on his part.
The Blue Thumb program is very, very interesting, and they help us a lot. We use the data that they collect, and we can use that data to see what's coming into our lake so we'll know what we're dealing with.
As water quality declines, it's still possible to use a treatment plant like here at Spiro and clean that water up, but it just costs more money. It's going to cost more money to do that, and harder to do. And so if you're thinking about how you're going to grow your economy, you have to have an abundant and reasonably priced source of water for people, for growth, for businesses and all that.
We need to make sure and protect it and keep it clean best we can so we can take care of our kids, our grandkids for the future.
It's of utmost importance because if you get to think about what happens if it gets cut off, we'd be out of water. And as years goes by, we got to look out for the future. It will, if we don't do something with it, it will get where there's not enough water for a drought or something. So it's vital. It's very vital to the town of Spiro.
We're still in the beginning stages of the project. The Choctaw Nation graciously funded the initial sampling there, and it allowed us to collect enough information to get the lake listed as impaired, and that has allowed us to plan for additional sampling and monitoring efforts in the future. Ultimately, we would like to see our landowners get these incentives through the NRCS, make their improvements at the water's edge and the riparian zones, and that alone will help protect the water quality at New Spiro Lake in the future.
Our waterman from Spiro, Jack Grant, is doing a real good job, I feel, and we're going to work with him. That's why he's here, is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep our water quality the best.
This is something that needs to be protected. You can destroy a body of water, and even though the fishing might not hurt now, this is a water supply lake, and when it's no longer good for the fish, I can tell you it's not going to be good for us. So I'm into protecting, and that's what we all need to do.
The efforts and work being done here at New Spiro Lake is a great model for what can be done when multiple people and agencies come together for a common cause. Hey, thanks for joining us today. And for all of us at your Wildlife Department, I'm Todd Craighead, and we'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.